Good afternoon. My name is Mark Goodman. I represent SCORE Chicago. You're watching live call-in TV here on CAN TV Hotline 21. My guest today is Nicole Vasquez. Nicole is the founder and visionary of The Shift. We'll show you a little bit about that here. Is that this is August 14th, and Nicole's company, overall company, is The Blend, but we're going to be talking about The Shift. So in order to get right to The Shift, Nicole, why don't you give people your elevator pitch?
Sure. Hi, my name is Nicole Vasquez, and I am opening The Shift, a modern co-working space in Uptown, a place where people can come to work independently and be more productive, but still get connected into a larger community where they can share feedback and resources, personal and professional networks with their other community members.
Okay. So we're going to learn a little bit about The Shift. We're going to learn a little bit about what the heck a co-working space is. But I'm going to ask Nicole one question, since this is part of the Elevator Pitch Plus contest, and the grand prize for winning the Elevator Pitch contest, which will be announced at the Small Business Expo on October 3rd, is $5,000. Nicole, if you are a grand prize winner and you win $5,000, how are you going to use this $5,000 to help build The Shift?
Absolutely. Well, recently we've had some press about The Shift, and in a span of 24 hours, we had 48 people contact us, letting us know that they were excited and they wanted to work out of The Shift. And they were all residents in the Uptown neighborhood, and they started to give me feedback about what they would need out of The Shift. So we had a few people say that they needed projector screens in the meeting room. We had another guy that recommended getting one or two additional screens that people could plug in, so if they have a small laptop, they could sit down and have a bigger screen. So my plan is to use that $5,000 to get some additional amenities that we have received feedback on recently, because the whole concept is to build a community and attend to the needs of the community members. And so that $5,000 will be used for towards suggestions that were given by actual people who are interested in working at The Shift.
Okay, now Nicole and I were talking a little bit earlier and talked about The Shift being a co-working space. What exactly is a co-working space, Nicole, and why would I, if I was a small business person, want to pay you money to exist within your co-working space?
So, co-working is a relatively new term. It was actually coined in, I think it was 2006 or 2007, and it refers to a shared office environment or a place where people can come to work independently, but yet still get connected to a larger community. And so it was coined recently because these shared office environments started, and what people noticed is that a community organically developed. People started to trade ideas and feedback, and they started sharing resources. So, for example, when you get a web developer next to let's say a marketing consultant, they started turning to each other and saying, hey, I know about web development and you know about marketing, let's help each other out. And so these co-working spaces, and it's actually a very popular thing in places like Austin, San Francisco, New York, and co-working itself refers to that community that develops when people work independently yet still in the same environment, and it's a really beautiful thing.
So visualize for me a year or 2 years from now, you have this co-working space open in Uptown. What's going on in this co-working space that would make me as a tenant feel like, wow, this is a cool place for me to be?
Yep. So co-working is actually, we do have some co-working spaces here in Chicago, but they are all centralized in the downtown area. I live in Uptown on the north side of Chicago, and we don't have any co-working spaces. So I kind of took a modern approach to co-working that made it sort of highly residential in Chicago. We don't have any residential co-working spaces. So within a year, let's say you walk into The Shift a year from now, you would see open workspaces. So you see desks kind of throughout the space. You'll see people sitting there working independently on their laptop or writing in their journal or doing anything that people want to do out of the space, obviously keeping in the same atmosphere of being productive. But it's a modern day work environment. You might see somebody getting up to get coffee and then chatting with somebody making a cup of tea. And then after the workday is done, we will also have classes and activities for members to connect additionally, maybe outside of the workday.
So what kind of classes or activity would you have for me as a, am I a tenant of the shift? Am I a member?
You are a member. You're part of
Okay.
the community.
Okay.
We can refer to you as a shifter.
Okay.
So if you're doing shifts at the shift, you're a shifter. You're part of this larger community base. So classes and activities that we plan to have will be changing based on what the community needs. So me being an event planner, I have certain ideas, maybe, especially in my neighborhood, it's very cultural, maybe some language classes or some lighter ones. People had an idea for a book club or, speakers coming in and speaking once a week about certain topics of either popular interest or, anything educational. So the program schedule will rotate based on reviews and feedback from people, but it's really open anything. And my big thing is to empower teachers in the community. So people are welcome to submit their idea for a class or an activity that they would like to teach. And they can become leaders at the shift, meaning they can host their own classes and activities.
So if I was a member of the shift, I could, go there to do my work and to grow my business. I could potentially go there to help the other members
Yep.
of the shift develop consistent with something that might be important to me.
Yep, exactly.
So how do you make, well, first, what is are you like the owner of the shift? Are you the manager of the shift? Are you like the shift guru? I mean, what's your role relative to this community?
So I will be the friendly face that you see when you first walk in this shift. I'm the founder of the business. In a shared office environment, you could have a potential startup in there, but they are not signing the lease or anything like that. It's my business. It's, I take care of all the administrative stuff, but people can come in and they can check in and they can just rent a desk. So, there's actually a term in the industry called community manager, and that means that not only am I the person that greets you, but because I check you in and I know what your background is, I also can help to connect and engage people. So maybe I say, Mark, you're very knowledgeable on, business. When the next person comes in that's starting their own business, I could say, you know what, when you have a chance, after you grab your coffee, I'd love to introduce you to Mark over here. He's got, 10 years of business management experience. And so I serve as both the friendly face, the administrator, the manager, but also just the general connector.
So if you introduce me to somebody and I'm busy and I don't want to talk to them, how does that work within the whole shift environment?
So it's all up to, if you are busy, in a lot of co-working spaces, there are signs that you could pick up on. A lot of times people say, if I have my headphones in, it's obviously that I am getting to work. Co-working spaces, although there's a lot of people, just like when you walk into a cafe, there's a lot of people in that one space, but most people are getting to work. And they are working independently. Now, there are certain areas within the space, such as maybe the cafe area where people are making a coffee or a tea. That seems to be the area where most people will engage in conversation.
So there's informally some rules that says if I have my headphones on, you don't disturb me.
Yeah.
There's also some spaces that says these are more private spaces and these are more public spaces.
Yeah.
How much does it cost, do you perceive it's going to cost to get started as a member of the shift?
So we are taking what I'm referring to as a modern approach to co-working. The reason is traditional co-working spaces now are more membership-based, and the least amount of time that you can typically do in a traditional co-working space is a day pass, which is a full day, and they usually run about $20 to $30 for an entire day. The reason that I am doing a modern approach to co-working is that I think that model would discourage people who have maybe a traditional 9 to 5 and they just need a couple of hours in a place where they can really get productive, which is how I came up with the concept of the shift, and the reason I call it shift is because we sell everything. We offer our space in 4-hour time blocks, which we refer to as shifts.
Okay.
And so an individual could come in and just do 1 4-hour shift, and you could purchase that as a walk-in or a drop-in, people would say.
So if I walked into the shift and I wanted the minimal level, get 4 hours, how much is 4 hours going to cost me?
So 4 hours is only $16, and that's during the week. On the weekends, you get a better rate, you get $15. And for the 4 hours that you are there, you walk in, you pay for your 4-hour shift, and you can choose any desk that is open. We have very comfortable, ergonomic chairs that you could sit in potentially your entire 4 hours and not even have any, your back will thank you for sitting in the chair for 4 hours. And within that shift, you will also have access to our unlimited coffee and tea, and then snacks that are provided from local businesses.
So tell me a little bit about yourself and, what motivated you to start the shift.
So my history is business and operations and management. Recently, I've become a marketing consultant, new to business development, and I started my own events company where I bring people together to exchange ideas and opinions in various formats at different venues all over the city. So my history is a very flexible worker. Throughout my day, I have meetings all over the city, and then there's times where in between meetings, I just need a place where I can sit down and hack out, some emails and get everything going. And then, I go home and I have dinner, and then after dinner, it's, okay, I need to get more work done. But, the home environment is not very productive. It's easy to get sidetracked and distracted. So the concept of a place where you can really buckle down and get to work is what I've kind of been drawn to. And I have experience with visiting other co-working spaces in the city and outside of the city, and they are hubs of creativity, innovation. There's some really wonderful things happening in co-working spaces, and I want to bring that creativity and innovation and motivation and inspiration to Uptown and to the shift.
So you were saying that there are co-working spaces in Chicago, but there are none that are particularly in Uptown. So let's get to that in a minute. I'm going to go over to a slide here for a minute, talking about the being here, the shift, and I want to touch upon a couple of things. And, you're watching here what's our TV Time for Small Business, which is every Thursday at 5:30, and I wanted to make sure that you guys are thinking about some programs coming up. We're going to do a program on creating innovation on October 1st, and I want you to remember the Small Business Expo on October 3rd. We're going to be announcing the winners of the Small Business Expo on October 3rd, and that's at the UIC Forum. This is a live call-in TV show, so if you do have a question, Steve over here is on the phones. You can give us a call at 312-738-1060, and Steve will talk to you and check out your question. And if you have a question to Nicole relative to a space for your business, or to me or Nicole relative to starting your business, give us a call at 312-738-1060. So I wanted to ask you, Nicole, you visited essentially these places downtown, which are your competition. And I think one of the challenges that you have with people starting their businesses is, who are the competition? And I'm always wary of anybody who says to me, my business doesn't have any competition, because, every business has competition. So you visited the co-working spaces downtown. Are these spaces that I would know a brand from?
Sure. So places like 1871, that's a tech co-working space. Next Space, Enter Space, Industrious, The Grind. There's many of them in the downtown area. And they were all very friendly, and they offered tours. The people who actually run co-working spaces are very friendly and very helpful. Reason being is, as you know, a lot of people do not know co-working. And so the co-working spaces that are currently in operation are very helpful to new startups. I've actually became good friends with a lot of co-working owners, and I owe a lot of my planning to them. They've been very helpful.
Besides your location, Because, I mean, I can see that, yes, Uptown would be convenient for me if I lived in the area.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, downtown is not that unconvenient to me.
Mm-hmm.
So besides location, what makes the shift different than the places that are downtown?
So we are not trying to mimic the places downtown. I think the places downtown, the people who are already working out of the spaces downtown, they want to be downtown, whether it's the area or they live close enough to downtown to be there. Opening the shift in Uptown will cater to a very underserved neighborhood that I live in, that there's really no productive places to get to work. People who want to, most people in my neighborhood either work from a cafe uncomfortably or they work from home. So I don't want to say I'm not nervous about people going downtown, but Uptown is far enough from downtown that I don't think that people are going to say, oh, I'd rather be downtown than being in Uptown. So I think that we are lucky for that, and that we're in a very, somewhat residential neighborhood.
So you talked a little bit here about being residential.
Mm-hmm.
What's the dynamic of your residential space as opposed to the downtown locations which are unresidential?
Mm-hmm. It's easy to get to. It's we have, like I said, a highly residential area, so people will most likely either be walking over or taking the bus or taking the train. So and again, it's very close. So the people who live closer to downtown will likely go and need a space to work out of, will likely be going downtown. The people in my neighborhood will be very conveniently coming to the shift.
So when you look at growing your business here, mm-hmm. and you've had a successful business as an event planner, being a marketing analyst, how are you going to measure the success of the shift?
Sure. So a big thing obviously is people who are working out of this space. Sometimes you have startups that start, and then over time they graduate. They might grow in business and they graduate. But also just the overall environment. When you walk into a co-working space that is thriving, that has a lot of members, you walk in there and you can kind of feel the energy. You see people buzzing about, interacting, helping each other. The activities are always booked up, and it's measured in kind of also people's productivity. If people aren't getting something done in there, they're not going to, most people aren't going to pay just to be there and not get anything done. So, people coming there means that they are actually getting their work done, and they're getting value out of it.
How do you measure energy and productivity?
Well, if people keep coming, I guess. It's the need for the space. Like I said, in 24 hours after the most recent article about us, I had 48 people contact me saying almost the exact same comment in every submission, saying, this is a great idea. I live very close. I have no place to work. My kitchen table is not a good office. My roommate drives me crazy. This is great. So for me, it's that one-on-one, and hearing people say that they have a need to get out of their apartment office.
I think I look at this whole business model, and on one dimension, you're making it easy, saying that you just walk in the door and buy a 4-hour pass. On the other dimension, one of the risks you have is to have a lot of 1 or 2 time people, and not have people coming back regularly. So what's your plan here to build loyalty and to create that dynamic where people are coming back regularly? Because you're not going to make money if I'm just stopping by for a couple of times.
Of course, I agree. That's a great question, Mark. That's why our membership packages they offer an incentive. They are discounted rates per shift. So a traditional walk-in shift is $16, and our memberships, we have everything from 2-day a week, 3-day a week to 5 days a week, which would be your typical 40-hour work week out of the space. And under those membership packages, these shifts are at a discounted rate. Now, members that have packages also get additional discounts to our events and activities. And people who are just doing a drop-in, they're more than welcome to come by. They, as often as they'd like, but most co-working spaces have members, people who there's actually a need for. So somebody like myself who needs a place to work a few days a week, and a recurring member. So
as a member, do I buy a regular time slot like Tuesdays and Thursdays from noon to 6. I mean,
So we are going to utilize a program called Front Desk that makes it very easy for everybody. So what happens is you sign up, and then based on your monthly membership. So for example, if you have a 2-day-a-week membership, we do a day is your typical 8-hour workday. So within that 8-hour workday is actually 2 different shifts because each shift is 4 hours. So if you do a 2-day-a-week work week, you have 16 shifts total because you would be doing 2 days a week and then times for the whole month. So you get your shifts kind of like credits. And what happens is throughout the month you can book. So maybe 1 week you need 3 days out of the space, and then the next week you'll just do 1 day out of the space. So it's very flexible, and we'll utilize apps and software that people can book based on their schedule. So it really caters to all types of workers and their needs and their schedules.
so if I'm a member, I'm going to be able to log onto a
website, yep. Yep, you'll have your own member profile, similar to places like gyms or a Pilates studio or a fitness place where you buy a membership package and you have a certain amount of credits within that package. And then you just go to the schedule and you see, based on your own schedule, you think, okay, today I really need to get some work done between 8 to 12. You can go onto either your mobile app or through the website and book a shift from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. noon.
So as a member, I'm going to buy a certain amount of credits during a period of time, and then I can use those credits
based on your schedule,
based on the schedule. How do you make sure that it doesn't get too busy?
That would be a great problem to have. Of course, we have maximum capacity. We are anticipating to have between 30 to 32 desks in the space. And everything will be booked in advance. Of course, somebody walks in, we'll have a little kiosk in the beginning and in the front area where you can check in as well. So we'll monitor, and it would be a great issue to have. But based on as we grow our numbers, if we start to have too many members, which again would be a great problem to have, co-working spaces have traditionally started, waiting lists. But it's a rotating thing. In the city, people move. They move locations. They might move an apartment from Uptown to, if they move to River North, they might not want to work out of the shift anymore. They'd like to work at a place downtown. So it kind of goes with the neighborhood, but yeah.
So you are open, or you're in the process of opening?
We are in the process of opening. Right now we anticipate to be open by mid-September. We are just doing some last-minute repairs on the inside, and then the next stage will be decorating the inside, making it look as great and just hammering out the details. So we're partnering with local businesses. We're partnering with 2 local catering companies based out of Uptown. We are finalizing our coffee and tea partnership, again, a local business, and just getting all the administrative stuff worked out, which is all the stuff that I actually really enjoy with my background.
Well, I mean, you're going to be running an event every day, it sounds like, and keeping that managed and keeping people in line. I'm going to flip through a couple more slides here. As we said, we're going to be presenting our winners at the Small Business Expo. So this is number 4. So Nicole asked me how many we had. She's number 4 of our 7 Elevator Pitch Plus contestants. So we're going to do Nicole. We're actually going to skip a week, and I'll tell you what's going on in a week from now, and then we're going to have Peter Field and then House Financial and Utopia. Next week we're going to have Stephanie Neely. Stephanie comes on once a year with our show and gives us an update relative to the Small Business Expo and gives us an update on what's going on in the city treasurer's office. So let's you can keep an eye out for that, and if you have any questions for Stephanie, you can touch bases with her then. I'm going to flip through a couple more slides here. And why do people come to SCORE? They come to SCORE for counseling and mentoring, and on the phone, SCORE has an online appointment system. We do workshops and training and have a management consulting group. If you can find SCORE on social media, SCORE tweets at SCORE Chicago. YouTube, it's Score Chicago Video. So if you want to see this show or you want to see some of our past contestants, they're all posted on our YouTube channel. That's Score Chicago Video. In addition, you can come to the Score website at www.scorechicago.org. Score is also available in traditional ways. You can send Score an email at scorechicago.org, or you can give Score a call at 312-353-7724. I wanted to thank Nichole as being our guest and number being 4 in our set of contests. Next week we have Stephanie Neely, then we'll have 3 more of our contestants, and we're going to have a guest from the SBA. So check us out next week and have some questions for Stephanie Neely.